Hello and welcome to the picture gallery of behind the scenes of the Heathens music video. So without further ado, let's get to it. So what you can see in the first picture here is a very special light which we used when we went to the studio to film the office scenes. Now what this light does is that it is really bright, which is very lovely, to create some nice shadows and some nice contrasting effects. And it also creates this very demonic effect, which you can see is so lovely here on Kino, one of my teammates and the director for this project. So the location itself, which we shot all of our office scenes in, is called Anime Events, which were really nice to us and let us practically use their studio, which was really nice of them. And well, here we have The Wire. So practically seen, what we had was that we had one scene where the protagonist is walking towards like this really big fire, and so practically said, guys, I'll just make a sculpture, and well, said and done. So practically seen, here we can see the metal sculpture in its early designal stages. Obviously, since the sculpture had to be freestanding, I had to design a very solid lower bottom, so to speak, of the metal sculpture. So here we can see me designing the head of the sculpture, and here we can see one of the earlier designs of the metal sculpture, which is practically like a worm sort of thing. So it's sort of like, it's like a maggot, like crawling through the subconsciousness of the protagonist, like just eating everything up. But then I thought, not really a very appetizing picture, and it doesn't get really much across. So what I did was, well, you can see that metal work is pretty intense because literally it's very sharp. So practically seen, what I did was that I designed a snowman-like figure in the end. So practically seen, what I wanted to achieve with this is that usually when you see snowmans, you think back to, mostly likely your childhood. So as Sigmund Freud would put it, your inner child. I wanted to portray this with the snowman. It's childhood, it's innocence, it's sort of, like nostalgia in other terms. So practically seen, when we have this snowman-like figure burning, I wanted to demonstrate that practically seen his past is burning. It's like gone, it's being erased from the map. It's just, his past is just the skeletal, burned out metal sculpture in the end. So practically seen, and when the past burns out, the future also burns out. When what remains is this empty, lifeless hole. And practically seen, out of this existence, there's two ways. Either you commit suicide or you stay in this empty, gray, dark, haunting world, which practically now has no meaning because you have destroyed yourselves, you have burned up, so to speak. So here we have the sculpture nicely wrapped in toilet paper in our studio. Doesn't it look creepy? I know. Yeah, I actually put a sign under, just in case. I don't want anyone to get creeped out by my sculptures because they can be sort of creepy. Anyway, so here we have the desert shot, and as you can see here we have me, here we have Kino, and here we have the protagonist, and here we have the Ursa Mini nicely laid out. So here we have the team and the actor, which is this guy here, just taking a break, discussing some shots. Here we have Kino filming with the Ursa Mini. And now let's go over to the office scenes. Now practically seen, here we have the pre-office scenes. So here we have my design for poison. Practically see, I photographed my skeleton and practically drew an outline on him in Paint and then pasted him into a Word document and then, practically turned him into a drawing. Now we had two designs for this, either the red one or the pink one, as you can see here. Now the pink one, we didn't actually want to use that because, as rightly said, it looked kind of, gay, weird. And for anyone who understands German, there's also a very interesting pun at the red one. So let me just go back there, because it literally says there, not shown in the frame, not shown in this picture, but shown in the video itself, it practically says, something around like soft little helpers, which is, I think, a very good black macabre pun, because literally it's like poison, like little soft helper. Yeah, great, you're dead. So, yeah. So here we have the filming in the studio. Behind Keanu you can see the owner of the studio, which was really nice to us. As I said before, they practically let us use their studio, which I found really nice. And then the blue light, which you can see there, which Keanu is handling, that's the RE light, and well, that would be pretty self-explanatory. Now here we have the RE light in effect. I just took this picture because it looked really nice. And here we have the round light. Now the round light came very, very practically in use when we are using green screen or any shot, as said before, where we needed some sort of, like haunting, eerie, lurking shadows. So that was really good there. And here we have my Blackmagic camera charging on set. And here we have the smoke machine, which, as the name already says, generated smoke for our movie. So here we have the office, practically a set of the office. Here we have a table calendar, some notes, and the poison obviously there. So practically it had to look like an office, but a very, very empty office at the same time. So here we have a fan. Now the fan which we use for the falling scene. So practically it's just the protagonist falling into this endless abyss of darkness, but sadly we couldn't use it that much because it showed in frame and wasn't that powerful, so we just scrapped it. So here we have the theme on Coffee Break, and here we have the light in action. As you can see, it creates some very nice lighting effect. It's like dark, dim, really, really spooky and haunting, and you can see the fog just gathering around it. And practically I took several of this because I just loved the really haunting effect that this created. And here we have it again, and again, and again. So you can see it's really, really haunting, a very nice, like foggy light sort of a show. What we wanted to do with the fog, so to speak, was to create this aura of being lost, just the icy cold hands of death reaching out towards the protagonist and covering his entire world in fog. It's like the desert actually, because this is why we shot the desert scene, because we wanted the protagonist to appear lost. It's like he's lost in this sort of desert-like surrounding, which usually desert represents, like death or some sort of eternal punishment or oblivion. So practically seen, the same thing applies with fog. His vision is foggy. He doesn't see clear anymore. He just cannot see another way out of his situation. And then practically seen, here we have the light again, and here we have the fog again. So, coming to the empty building, which we actually shot before the office scenes. So as we can see here, we have the three figures in black, which practically seen again represented some sort of evil, malevolent spirits, which just danced around the protagonist, like they're the darkness slowly consuming him, tempting him, like come, something like that. We wanted this really eerie, you know, like sort of satirical effect, and I think we pretty much got that. So here we have Ehab and Kino directing the dancers. Well, mostly Kino directed the dancers, whilst Ehab did the filming. And then here we have them both discussing a shot. And then here we have Ehab wheeling the protagonist around because, you know, we tied him up pretty tight. You know, he was fine with it. So, and practically saying we didn't want to untie him because, you know, that's just would waste time. So practically throughout the shoot, the protagonist mainly remained tied up. So here we have Ehab preparing a slider shot. And then here we have Ehab, you know, just moving the protagonist into frame. And here we have the protagonist sitting nicely tied up. I mean, this poor guy, I don't know, how long did we film? 2 hours? I think 2 hours, yes. Something around 2 hours, and he just was tied up for the most of the time. So here we have the dancers again. Here we have Kino filming the dancers. And here we have the preparation of a vertigo shot from Hitchcock. You know, he particularly much used that. So practically what we wanted to do with this shot is that we wanted to create this, you know, like vast emptiness of the entire building, because literally seen, we used an entire empty building. It was an entire floor just empty. And what we wanted to do with this effect is that we wanted to create a sort of, you know, like the mind is this empty building. So practically the protagonist's mind, to be exact, is this empty building. Because, you know, he's lost, he's empty. So practically seeing the empty building as a sort of metaphorical way of saying, you know, he's just lost in his own mind, being tied up and restrained, haunted by these evil shadows which surround and dance around him. And that would be it.